Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night podcast, a podcast about the stories and relationships board games create. I'm your host, Roy Candy, and with me today is Ruthie.
Hi.
Courtney.
Hi.
Kent.
Hello.
Adam.
This is an audio check.
Matt.
Hey.
And Robert Newman.
Hello.
I think we have audio, but hey, we're on a new stream here, so we'll see if people actually come in. But hey, we're going to be doing a podcast. We're going to be talking about a bunch of news things, a bunch of things we've been playing recently, and trying to get games to the table, finding the time to do that. Woo, Ferg at least found us. But yeah, it's always awesome when we have people in the chat here to hang out with us during the show. But yeah, I'm excited to make this happen. I'm going to be trying to bring some more people in here in just a little bit. But how's things been going, guys?
Hey,
great.
It's been really rough.
Not good, Rob. What's going on?
I did hear that Matt has a new animal in his life.
I do. If you see me being sporadic or just moving around randomly, it is because of a dog.
And if things start catching on fire because Cord's being eaten. And Matt has the dog.
Here, just the stream viewers. Her name's Peaches. She is,
that's a picture.
loves eating things. All things.
As the
Animate.
Is the dog's diet currently consist of cheese or
Wood. Lots of wood and toys and
We
dogs.
gotta get that fiber.
I have never had a dog that is this voraciously eating.
it's part
What you
termite?
got here?
But
How
yeah,
dogs can eat.
Well, that is amazing.
What about you, Rob?
This is
What about me? What?
What's going on with you, Rob?
You said not so good.
I was making a joke to the audio problems. I was saying I was having trouble.
Oh, the audio problems. So.
Gotcha.
But I'm better now because I can hear you, Courtney. Before it was really bad. There was just Kent, and I was like, no.
Yeah.
And so really thankful for
Crazy
you.
how they got selective audio out of the one mic.
Right?
Right.
Um,
I feel like one day we can have a charity stream where chat will donate to something to get Kent to sing the song from Portal. I'll do it. It'll be off key.
if only it had ever happened before.
I play a little bit, but anyway.
I've
You guys
got
doing all right? How are you
$50
doing?
towards that.
Ruthie,
We're
and
good. We're
Roy,
good.
and Kent, and Courtney, everybody good?
We're good.
We are excellent.
You
We're
guys
making
still
it
like
happen.
each other?
Most of the
Currently, for the most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the wrong answer.
You feel threatened to answer that properly?
Sigh at me.
Side eye.
But yeah, I guess we can go ahead and jump into some news here for the show. We've got several different things that we've kind of picked out to do for news. But the first one I think is really cool. It is from I guess someone who's been on the podcast several times before, Ambie. She had a Kickstarter for a board game day book. This is like a children's like what do they call it? Like a board book? Yeah.
That's
and
nice.
Kent and Courtney, I guess you guys got your copy of it. I got a PDF of it like forever ago. It's like looks really awesome.
Yeah, we were super excited about this. It's written by Ambie and art is by Rachel Kermer. So
Semi-Co-op.
Yeah, the web comics, which are really hilarious board game web comics. And we have young children, and it's got lots of different modern board games in it, and the illustrations are really cute, and our sons just love it. So it's available right now in the Board Game Geek store. So we just want to give it kind of a shout out. You can get there's not a ton of copies left over there. You head over to the Board Game Geek store. I'm going to post a link in the chat and check it out if you have young kids or it's great for a gift or whatever.
So when I read it, it was still in prototype form, and they were still filling out all of the games that are going to be represented in the book. Like what kind of games ended up making it into the book? I know there was some like Hava stuff and things like that.
It's all
a lot of
train
Hava
games.
stuff. We've got
all 18XX
circuits.
Core Quest is in there. Juicy Fruits.
Yeah.
The Color Monster, Go Away Monster,
Quest Kids.
Outfoxed, Labyrinth.
And the cool thing about that is like those
Dice
are
Throne.
those are a lot of things that are known for being like really good kids games. Well, not necessarily Dice Throne, but
Right, yeah. Familiar
you know.
Tales, so Plaid Hat Familiar Tales over there.
Yeah, some more Hobbit.
There's just a lot of cool games in there, and our son was like, he's looking through the book, he's like, we have that game, we have that game, we have that game,
Oh.
and he's played a lot of these games too, so it was cute.
No 18xx games in there, Ambie?
No,
Oh,
I think there
I
are.
could
No,
not
I
find
believe,
it.
no, I believe there is.
okay.
Might somewhere.
It's like
So I would-
teaching the kids the wonders of stock trading. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
gotta start them young with investments in train routes. You know,
Oh, but they're playing Rhino Hero.
They're playing Rhino Hero. Then
I love that. That's
Oh,
amazing.
that's
That's great. Yeah.
That is cute.
So it's really cute. Just figured so Ambie from Board Game Blitz, just give her a shout out, and Rachel there, so go check it out.
And Ambie's been on the podcast for like several times back in the day. So, and she's been in the chat like since we've even started back up. So,
Right,
Ambie, you're
yeah.
the best. And I really hope. I mean, I would love like I don't know how hard it is to get this sort of thing into like. I mean, I guess maybe Rob would know more about like how hard it is to get a book into like major distribution, things like that. But
That's a good point. Yeah.
No
because
problem, right, Rob?
Rob's
Easy.
big time
I'm
Arthur.
the expert on all of those things, so I'm glad you came to me. Right.
I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. I don't know.
No. I used Amazon for my stuff, just because they are the #1 bookseller in the world. And when
Yeah.
you try to go to like other places, it's like, okay, but Amazon reaches billions, so I'm going to choose Amazon. And Amazon actually has a lot of great tools for publishing and getting your works out there and uploading your own stuff and however you want to do it. So that's just what I did. But Ambie's, I think because of the Kickstarter and stuff like that, she might have a couple of issues with licensing and stuff like that. But
Oh,
she probably
interesting.
has all of that since she did sell it, or she is selling the book. So I imagine she got that worked out. Like I remember on one of my things I had when I was going through the copyright process, they were like, do you have permission to like say these words or do these things? So that's what I thought, Peaches. And then I was like, hold on, I'll just change the name.
Thanks for the contribution.
So, no, but I love it. I think it's fantastic.
Okay.
I know. We're going to work on it, Peaches, and everyone will get a copy of that book. Right?
Yep. And Peaches will probably chew the binding off of hers.
It looks delicious, is what Peaches is saying.
She's thinking.
Yeah.
Ambie's just a immensely creative person, and I think it's like this is like so cool, but it's also like it's like also no surprise, right? Like it's kind of like this is exactly the thing that she would do, and it looks super polished and adorable. Of course.
It does.
I always love finding out about friends of mine doing incredible things because I gauge myself against that and go, oh, yes, I have accomplished nothing.
That is not true.
No.
I refuse
it's great.
to negate that on whatever casting card or magic card I need to throw down. You better not talk about my friend Matt.
Nah, man,
I will beat you up.
it's great.
Don't talk
Honestly,
about my friend Matt.
it's always super cool to see people go out, do a thing, and then achieve success.
Yeah,
Like,
like yourself.
so
sure.
great.
You're amazing, Matt. And
You're
I'm going
amazing, Matt.
out tonight.
It provides hope.
Equal-
We should all sing a Disney song to help cheer Matt up, like Ambie would do. Which leads into our next game, which is Dixit Disney.
Oh,
There you go. Good.
which I am getting absolutely on day one, by the way.
Yeah.
I've told
That's true.
Ruthie over and over and over again, like, I want to teach you how to play Dixit. I want to teach you how to play Dixit, and I never
haven't
have.
played it yet.
Well, now that Dixit Disney came out,
We're
now
making
she's
it
going to be
happen.
begging me to teach her how to play Dixit.
Exactly.
There you go. There you go.
I can't imagine this thing isn't going to be good, right? Like, the formula is pretty easy for Dixit, right? Like, do you have
Crazy
the right
art.
crowd to play the game? Answer is yes or no. And then if you have the right crowd to play the game, like, you're going to have a good time for a little while anyway. Like if it's really late or it's really early, I don't know. I like Dixit still. My kids like Dixit a lot. I can't imagine I'm not going to enjoy it with the Disney IP on it. So, I mean...
This might be good for us. We haven't got Dixit to the table in forever. We'll get a lot of code names and stuff like that because we're still introducing people to board games, and code names is always easy and non-threatening. But my kids, being young, they love Disney, so this might be one of those things where we reintroduce it to the kids.
Ruthie hasn't played Dixit, but we have played Detective Club. Have you played that one, Matt?
I have not.
It's
Oh, it's
basically like Dixit, but with social deduction.
Oh.
So yeah, so basically everybody has cards that they're playing out, and like there'll be a word that you write on the thing, and one notebook doesn't have anything written on it, and everybody looks, and then you're playing out Dixit style cards to match the word, and then you have to come up with a story of why you played the card out, except one person doesn't know what the word is. So they have to lie about the fact that like they played these cards because they knew the word, and then everybody guesses who was the liar.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's like Spyfall a little bit.
It's kind of like Spyfall, but with Dixit cards.
It's a lot of fun.
Okay.
Oh, I think
I actually love being the one who doesn't know what the word is, because I love just kind of
You love being a
kind of just
liar?
rambling about something about exactly. I love just like BSing about I played this card because it looks like this, and obviously this matches with what you did.
That was one of the first social deduction games we played, and Ruthie lied to me so good during that, and I didn't know it all. So
it's a good one. It's a good one.
How long were you guys dating at the time?
it was
A few months.
few months, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're still like in that honeymoon stage. Like she could have said anything, and you would have been like, "That's right, Ruth."
Yeah, but she called me out immediately, so
Yeah,
that's how that
exactly.
goes. But yeah, I'm sure this is gonna be great. I can't wait to see all the crazy Disney art.
Yeah, I feel like
told
the
Kent
art
we might
alone.
have to- Yeah, I told Kent we might have to get a second copy just for the art.
Yeah.
To hang up
Did
or
you
something.
see the artist who is working on this has spent the last 2 years making the art for the game?
Holy
And it covers. So currently there are 61 Disney movies and 23 Pixar movies. 61 plus 23 is 84. So every single movie is represented in one of those cards.
Wow.
Holy smokes.
But they're also the Dixit kind of crazy art with kind of abstract stuff going on too. So I'm really curious to see what the art's going to look like. I bet it's going to be great.
I also wonder if they're going to have specific rules in the game about, like, you can't say Aladdin as your clue or whatever,
Well,
Because
I'm not sure.
it'd be kind of like giving away, But, I mean, normally in Dixit, you're trying to not have everybody guess your thing, so maybe it'll be a little bit more nuanced. I'll have to see how it all comes together. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I think that's an easy pickup, I think, for most of us, right? I mean...
And so it's coming straight to Barnes & Noble this fall.
That's awesome.
So direct to retail, Barnes & Noble, and then later on it's going to get a wider release. It's going to be $39.99 MSRP.
Nice.
So the next game here in the news is Search for the Lost Species. This is a remake of Search for Planet X. I don't know if any of you guys played that, but it's a really cool deduction game. Not social deduction, just strictly deduction, where there's an app that you use and you're going and trying to like find clues to figure out where Planet X is. This is going to be searching for a lost species, kind of in the same vein of that other game. Did you play that one? Anybody?
Yeah,
We
played
played
it.
Planet X a few times, yeah. Courtney loves logic deduction games. I'm terrible at those games, but I play them, and I think they're fun, but I'm just terrible.
I really enjoyed it.
They're good. They're fun.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those straight logic deduction games are one of those things that are just kind of like when someone else just wrecks you in it and you're like really far away from it, you're like, well, I guess I guess you're way smarter than me,
But I still had a lot of fun, even though I lost. It was one of those games where you still kind of felt clever when you played it, because you can kind of solve. They give you a lot of the I don't know, I forget how it worked specifically, but it's more like it just makes you feel smart when you figure something out. I really like that in those games, but then you feel dumb when you lose. But
Yeah. There's so many nature games, and this is kind of like taking it from that space theme into like the nature thing, and people are going to be like, I guess there's just so many people are really digging on the nature theme stuff right now, so it's kind of cool.
This one has a lot more variability too, it looks like. Just a lot more puzzles to solve. There's 6 different lost species you can use, which kind of change up the logic rules every game, which could be
that's awesome.
for
So
the
even
people who
more
are really
replayability.
hardcore about it. Yeah, you get a lot more gameplay out of it.
Yeah, that was something that I heard, is that it was looking like it may be a harder or a bit more challenging logic puzzles than Search for Planet X, just because of how the mechanisms were working. And I was like, it's cool to see a re-implementation, but change it back up, change the theme, alter
awesome.
stuff. Yeah.
And so it's also weird. It's on Kickstarter right now, I believe, but it's just a Kickstarter for an early copy. There's no like special version, nothing deluxe. You can either get Kickstarter now, get it 3 months early,
What's
or
the deluxe version like?
no, I'm saying there is no deluxe.
It comes with an actual lost species inside the box.
Yeah,
What?
there was an upgrade pack for Search for Planet X that like gets you better components, but I don't think they're doing that for this.
Oh,
You
interesting.
can just either wait till retail or get it 3 months early on Kickstarter.
Well, that's kind of cool, I guess.
Supposed to come out March 2023 if you back it,
Basically, just like a pre-order sort of.
or
thing.
May 2023.
Oh, awesome! Super soon.
Yep.
The next one here, big news, is basically the follow-up to Scythe. This is, what is it, 1920 Expeditions. So this is basically James Stonemaier. It's kind of like, it's not really quite like the card game version of Scythe, but it's kind of like looks like more of like a streamlined version of Scythe where you have more card play and more things like that as you're going around on the different hex map and exploring things. I'm sure Kent knows way more about this, seeing that he and Jamie are courting each other. But other than that,
He wishes.
Oh,
did you tell me one time that isn't Jamie like Kent's like hall pass or something like that?
It has been joked. It's been joked. But no.
he's a charming man.
Look, I've learned a lot of secrets about a lot of the people on the show, and my goal with this new resurrection is to get everybody's secret crush on as a guest eventually at some point, so that we can
As
watch
a guest? Well,
Oh,
Jamie
hey,
Stonemaier
hi.
would probably be easier to pull off than some people.
Yeah,
Wow.
Jamie's doable.
He's gonna
Always.
have
He's
like
very
some
open on
crazy
social
music
media.
artist and be like, oh well, do you want to come on our board game podcast? No, I'm too busy making music.
We'd have to specify board game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, who's your
Yeah.
board game crush?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rob's like,
really, this
Anyway.
game-
Rob's
I
like,
do
Rob's
wrestle.
already on the show, so why do we even? He's already on the show.
Expedition.
It's everybody's crush.
This game is mainly focused on exploration, it seems like. So it's set in the Scythe world, 1920s Europa. But this time there's been a meteor, it looks like. And you're trying to go out and explore and figure out what's going on with this meteor. And you're going to collect like meteor fragments, items. Everyone's going to have a unique mech. And it's kind of like Scythe, where you're going to get your own mech player board, which is going to be, I think, somewhat asymmetrical. You also choose an animal companion, which is not necessarily linked with your faction. So I think you're going to have a little bit of variability and asymmetry with that, kind of like the Scythe boards originally, where you're going to choose like a industry board and then I think a faction board, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And it's got some deck building kind of elements to it. We're going to be collecting cards, and I don't know if it's like tradition. Doesn't seem like it's traditional deck building, like Dominion or Star Realms or Clank. But it's got some elements of that, and it's got a lot of engine building and exploration and card play. So it sounds pretty neat. You can get you can pre-order right now on their site with the metal mech version, or you can get the regular version with just plastic mechs.
Did they say when this is going to be delivering?
It says July 2023 estimated, and then a wider Gen Con release.
Oh, that's huge. That's awesome.
And this is one of the first times Stonemaier usually does. They usually already have their print run done, and they're going to, and they usually set up pre-orders like a month before, and then the game ships. And then a lot of times people can't get the games right off the bat. But this way, they're doing production. They're taking pre-orders, and then they're doing production. So it's more likely to get a copy if you go ahead and pre-order now. It sounds like.
If you're a part of the Stonemaier fanboy club or whatever, you get it early.
Yeah, I don't know if you get it early. Sometimes those ship sooner.
That's
you get
the
a little
official
you get a
label, right?
discount.
Or fan person. It's not gender
It's
specific.
Stonemeier's Champion.
You're a champion.
It's $15 a year, and you get 20% off your shipping and your game, I believe, something like that.
It's 20. Yeah, I think it's 20%.
Yeah.
I don't know. It looks super cool. Like I watched Jamie's little playthrough that they posted earlier in the week, and I don't know. It's that it's couldn't be more different from Scythe in a certain way, but like at least all of the mechanically, it also felt like it, and it looks. I don't.
Like
it's one of those things where
spiritual successor.
Yeah, and it feels like it's going to set up a little bit quicker. And that maybe some of the player tableau section is a little simplified, which I think might make it a little easier to get people who don't necessarily like kind of play a big Euro game. Scythe's not really a Euro game, but it's kind of a Euro game with fighting, which we talked a little bit about last time. It's like a Euro game we could get Rob to play, because you play Scythe,
Yeah.
right, Rob?
I think we all
I've
played
only
it
played
at
Scythe
Dice
once,
Tower
actually.
once. Dice Tower
Alright.
Con.
I like the
extra-
combat in Scythe. I mean,
So do
yeah.
I tried to pull
It's
it on
got
Courtney
that-
once, and she.
it's got
ruined my
that
whole
Rex Dune combat in it, so
Yeah.
I really enjoy that mechanic. So
game. Yeah.
awesome.
They just look so good.
I would love to play.
The production quality, is going to be absolutely
Mm-hmm.
astounding. So even if I buy it and only play it 3 times in the first year, I'm just going to look at it a lot. So it's worth it.
I mean,
So the next game on the list here is Andromeda's Edge. This is a giant space game by Luke Laurie and the people behind Dwellings of Eldervale. Cardboard Alchemy is the name of the new company that kind of like those people went off and created. And they're also, I think, partnering a little bit with Lucky Duck for like distribution and things like that as well. I've actually had an opportunity to talk to Luke about this game, and I talked to Peter Vaughn about this game a ton at PAX Unplugged as well. I haven't actually had an opportunity to play it, even though literally when I posted the show or posted the thumbnail for this, Peter Vaughn was like, "You got a chance to play it yet?" And I'm like, "Oh no, I haven't played it, but we're talking about it on the show." And he's like, "We can play it on Tabletop Simulator right now." I'm like, "I'm at work." But yeah, I'm excited about this one just because I was a big fan of Dwellings of Eldervale, and I really liked it's I don't know, Luke Laurie makes these thematic Euros that I just really enjoy, even though I'm not as big into Euro style games. The theme and the engine building in the game kind of like wins me over, even though there's a lot of stuff going on in the game. I really like the way he kind of puts his games together.
Mm-hmm.
The components look really nice, and I love
this-
the colors. This would have really good table presence. I definitely give it a shot. I don't know if I'll pre-order it though, personally.
Well, they're making over $1 million on Gamefound, which is huge because that's Gamefound as opposed to Kickstarter, And I'm really excited for this whole team. Christian Strand also helped run their Gamefound, and did some like a little bit of graphic design stuff with them as well. And like he did a lot of work on Last Light also. So it's kind of like there's a little bit of crossover lifeblood with that sort of stuff, which is just kind of cool for me to see the same people kind of like working on different stuff. But yeah, I'm really excited to see how this hits the table. The backstory behind this a little bit is the fact that Dwellings of Eldervale was owned by Breaking Games, and Peter Vaughn and team kind of wanted to continue to do stuff with that, but Breaking Games had the IP. So they're like, you know what? We're going to put it in space, and then we can continue to make awesome, giant, epic games like this. So I'm excited to see how they do, so...
I
Yeah,
think
it sounds.
you
Oh,
put
go ahead, Matt.
anything in space, and I'll pay for it.
There you go.
That's just how it goes. Sushi go in space? I'ma buy it. It's fine. It'll be all right.
Alien sushi.
Might be onto something there.
I mean, come on. If they ever run out of things and they need new options, that's it.
That's awesome. But it's supposed to have more engine building type stuff in it, and being able to do a little bit more comboing with your civilization and stuff like that, which I'm always a big fan of. And plastic ships in space and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's supposed to be a little bit more complicated too. I know Eldervale is not an easy game to play, I would say. I mean, it's not a light game, I should say. But if this one has more going on than that, this is going to be pretty crunchy, I think. Looks like a lot to think about. Lots going on.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a short game at all. I think it's going to be minimum 2 hours. Like
it does say 40 minutes per player. Yeah, so that it's probably more than that.
Oh yeah.
First few plays, I bet.
Yeah, but I'm excited to at least try it, and I'm a big fan of Luke's stuff. I really liked Cryo. Did you ever play Cryo? It's like
I loved Cryo. It was so good. Cryo was great. Yeah.
It gave me a feeling of like Alien Frontier sort of thing, but like a newer kind of stuff. I just really like the way he does engine building and the way he does his icons and the way he kind of like builds up his actions in his games is just really awesome.
And I love the refresh action. We usually in a lot of games where it's not so great, when you take back your stuff, your workers or whatever, and you actually get to do like a cool turn when you do that, which is it's not the case in a lot of worker placement games. So that's always fun.
Meaningful choices, lots of meaningful choices. But yeah, that is our news for the week. I guess from there we can just kind of jump into what we've been playing. But I guess we'll start off with Adam.
Oh man, what have I been playing? Oh, I forgot.
You didn't put the box cover on your thing, so I'm like, I don't know what this game is.
This is so it gets somewhat nerdy then, because I didn't put the box cover on there. So if you're looking at the picture right now and you know what this game is, you're lonely.
Is it a solo game? I'm guessing then.
It's a solo game. It's a solo game. So I grabbed it's Tin Helm. Tin Helm is the game. I think it's sitting right here behind you. The whole thing fits into one of these mint tins.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's cool.
Oh.
Right. So that's the entirety of the game. And it's not a chintzy product too. It's I forget the name of the little publisher. It's like I want to call it Penny Arcade, but I'm screwing it up now. But it's a print-on-demand company as far as like these kind of little independent games go. And it's this guy, Jason Glover, and he's got, I think, 4 or 5 games that are kind of produced that are either print-on-demand or print-to-play. And the quality of it's really nice. Like, it's like the tin, it's not like a sticker on here. It's actually printed on here. And there's like a pretty rich, fun little game that's going to take 35 or 40 minutes of your time, like stacked into this thing, and it's a little dungeon delve.
Oh, cool.
Where you're kind of playing an economy of your magic and your health and your, I forget the other stat is called, like your energy, to defeat these monsters and mitigate your bad dice rolls to get these 3 crystals out of the dungeon. And the system is really super efficient. Like, you kind of somewhat get to pick the path that you're going to take versus the likely thing that you're going to encounter based on whether you choose to play the card either up or down each time you flip through the deck as you're playing. So it's got a relatively compact footprint that you can sit there and play with, and you get to actually chuck some dice. And the illustrations are just very old school Dungeons and Dragons, like black and white, weird gonzo monsters and stuff that he has in here.
Awesome.
So I like it a lot. I highly recommend it. It's one of those things where, like, for me, I'm going to be traveling a little bit the second half of this week. I'll throw this, and I got another game called Gate, and it's kind of the same universe as far as the monsters and things go, but this one's a tower defense kind of version of that. Plays a little different. But I enjoyed the heck out of them. I picked them up both kind of on a whim because I had heard some good things, and I am just enjoying them a lot. And it is not uncommon for me to... when I'm up early and I make the kids lunch, if I have 30 minutes, I will roll one of these out and just play it at the breakfast counter. So, loving
That's
it.
awesome.
Cool.
And you can keep your
That's solid.
breath fresh.
I have never, and I don't believe I will ever say that in my life, what you just said.
Me either.
Hey guys, man, I was done making some lunch. What am I going to do with this next 20, 30 minutes? I'm gonna play a game all by myself. No, I have my second cup of coffee. And like,
I'm having coffee when I'm
man, what am I going to do with all this time that I have now that I made my kids lunch? I'm going to play a game by myself. First thing in the morning, because I got up super early today. My first game is Gate.
I get up at 5:45.
Yeah, well, I love it. Just
What I'm learning is Adam.
I've never heard that.
Adam's got that time management.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I'll be quiet.
What time do you go to bed? Like 8?
I love it.
9:30 or 10 usually. This is my late night.
Okay. The next game here is from Courtney.
So we got to try Planet Unknown last week, which I'd heard a lot of good things about. I think it came out last year. It's by who did it? Adam's Apples Games.
Mm-hmm.
But it's got this amazing little Lazy Susan contraption thing that has lots of different. It's a tile laying game, so it's got all these different tiles in this thing that rotates, and depending on where you're sitting. Compared to the other players, they pick the tile that they want, and you get kind of the other tile that matches up with where your person or your marker, what is it, an arrow or something is.
Yeah, there's a little arrow.
And it's a tile line game, and you're trying to fill up your board and build up this planet. And as you put these tiles on your board, it moves you up on different tracks, and then you can get these cool combos. And I just had a lot of fun with it. I love polyomino tile laying games. I know they're probably overdone at this point, but I still like all of them. So we keep getting them. But it was a lot of fun, and it lived up to the hype of what everybody was saying about it. So I liked it a lot. I don't know what you thought, Kent, but
I don't think there's ever enough tile laying games.
Yeah.
We just,
that's one of my favorite mechanisms. Yeah.
It's so good.
100%.
And that rotating tile station you talked about is a space station, and its name is Susan, which is great.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yes, it's Susan with dots in between, as like the space station, which is pretty thematic and cool. I like it.
I keep seeing people play this, but I haven't had an opportunity to play it yet. But yeah, it looks really cool.
It's really straightforward and
it's really easy.
Easy to play, but it's got a lot of cool decisions and it's pretty quick. Mostly simultaneous play because when you're
nice.
You can't buy it anywhere right now either, right?
I don't know. I'm not sure about the availability.
I think it's really sold out. I've tried to buy this like 3 times. Like I've saw like media of it, and then like I'm going to buy this because I'm gonna love it, and then every time I get skunked. I'm like, ugh. Because I'm with you, Matt.
I think
tiles down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, I think me and you, Adam, have this like very, very thing where it's like, oh, is that a neat looking board? Yeah, I'm gonna back it. I don't know what it plays like. I don't know anything about it, but it's a hexagon, so I'm gonna get it. Why not? You don't see hexagons real often.
That's why aesthetics in games are so important.
Mm-hmm.
If you make your game look good,
too, after
you get me every time.
You can just sell it.
After you built your planet, it looks neat. Also, there's a lot of variability in the game. There's tons of event cards you can use, and like there's asymmetrical factions and stuff that like really change up how the game plays.
Oh, that's
we haven't dug into any of that stuff, but just the base game was great.
You all have a copy, Kent?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
All right. Next is Ruthie's game.
Yes. So my game is Sagrada, and we played it at on the cruise. Mm-hmm. So I'm always, every time I get the chance to look at the library, I just like pulling out random games, and I'm like, oh, this is really pretty and like colorful. And then Roy's like, oh, you actually enjoy that game.
I thought you would enjoy it because you really enjoy, what's the game you play?
Sudoku,
yeah.
Yeah, so the point of the game, it's drafting dice, right? You have like this little to make, what is it called? Stained glasses, yeah. So you have to like pick out the dice, and then you have
just like a
it looks like a map, I guess, that you have to fill in with different colors and different numbers based on the tile that you have. And I wrecked Roy at it, so
that's why
I
you
really
like it. It's pretty thematic though, because like you have tools and stuff, and it's kind of interesting because you can't put the same colors together beside each other.
Yep.
So that's why it gives you kind of that
Sudoku
vibe, because you're trying to draft stuff, but then you have these limitations of where your numbers are.
Right. And you have like not a mission, is it?
Yeah, you have like secret goals,
yeah, to complete. So, and then I'll look over at Roy's and I'm like, oh, he needs this dice. You know what? I need this color, so I'm going to take it and then make him struggle.
I didn't have to describe or teach her how hate drafting worked.
Yeah, I was going to say.
She automatically knew what hate drafting was and implemented it.
That's great.
Built in.
Relationships are born in hate drafting.
And the fires of hate drafting.
It's foundational, right? Like this won't help me, but it's gonna hurt you, babe.
Yeah, pretty much. That's fun.
Yeah, I think like it also has like these different tools that can help you manipulate dice or different things. But if you don't use them, you get extra points.
Right. So I didn't use them
because of all the hate drafting. I was like, I guess I'm gonna use this to make so I can actually place this die, and she ended up wrecking me. But it was pretty fun.
Yeah, I really like that game.
Those tools are such a tough decision. I hate spending points for them, but sometimes I'm like, oh, I got to catch up. I got to do something. And it's just, it's tricky.
Did you guys play with any of the expansions?
Well, it was her first time playing, and I've only played it like a couple times, so we just played base game. So
I've also only played just the base game, but I was curious.
Yeah, it's really
There's a lot.
How many expansions are there for Sagrada?
There's a ton now.
I want to say 3
at least 2 or 3, I'd say.
Oh, really?
I really the Artisans on Kickstarter, which is thing.
Say correctly.
Looks like fun too.
Sagrada. Somebody,
Darth
sorry.
Really,
I say it in Spanish.
Ours, and he was just the teacher, and him was thrilled.
There was what was it on the cruise? You said Sagrada, and
I say it in Spanish because I automatically read it in Spanish.
Yeah.
And They're like, what? What did you say? I was like,
Spanish.
Sagrada?
Like Z and Camilla were like,
Z and Camilla like, you didn't say it with an English accent. I was like, because I speak Spanish.
and what was he saying? He's like, how do you pronounce Azul?
I was like, azul. Like in Spanish.
Like, makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a Spanish word. Might as well put the accent on it.
Yeah. I really like that game.
I need to play that more. Actually, I own it, and it's a beautiful game. I haven't played it in a while, which is easy to let happen. But I don't think I've ever had a bad time playing Sagrada. So I'm
You got
glad.
some time in the morning?
Make your work go.
I think it does play solo
Rock it out
also.
real quick, and yeah, good way to start the day.
You can
Never-
make
I'm
stained
never gonna
glass
live
right
this down.
after.
You know,
right
sometimes
after.
I'm having some gluten-free bread with ramen.
For one day, randomly, I'm just gonna text you like first thing in the morning. So what you playing? Send me a pic.
Instead of what you're wearing, it's what are you playing?
Man, I can't wait till the next Cabin Con, I tell you.
Uh-oh.
It's going to be a blast.
So much gluten-free sandwiches.
So, Kent, your game.
All right. So I'd recently played, or we had recently played, Wayfarers of the South Tigris. This is from Garfield Games. It's the third trilogy, the first game of the third trilogy, which is, I know the whole series is kind of confusing over there at Garfield Games, but pretty much all the games in the second trilogy, which are called the West Kingdom, are pretty good, pretty solid, Euro games and stuff. And then this is the first one in the new trilogy, and it is, I would almost say, possibly better than the others that's come out so far. I know probably the most popular one is Raiders of the North Sea. But anyway, this one is set in you're in Baghdad, and it's like 800 AD around that time period, and you are a cartographer / map maker / explorer kind of thing, and you are basically taking cards and adding them to your player board, kind of creating a panorama. So it looks really cool on the table as you collect more cards and build up your what you've discovered. But underneath that, it's a like really crunchy, fun, and almost maybe not combo-y, but like you get very asymmetrical as the game goes on. It reminds me kind of like a Blood Rage, where you're getting your cards and it's really changing up your asymmetry as the game goes on. So like you start off pretty much the same, but as you build, you're going to be very different than the other players. You're going to get a lot more powerful things just you can do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's dice draft. I mean, sorry, not dice drafting, dice worker placement, which I love.
Gotcha.
Dice in Euro games. It's such a nice addition. And you're placing the dice on your board to do your own stuff, and it's like your own unique actions and things. But you also have workers that you're placing out on the main board. So around the whole board, there's cards, and those cards are cards you can get for various things. But when you place on those cards, you can also get the workers from the cards if you take the cards for other actions. So like you might be able to get a card and somebody else's worker when you get that card. You can also place influence on the cards, which makes people have to pay you resources when they want to get cards or interact with the cards that you have stuff on. So there's not a ton of interaction, but there is some. And it's just really, really crunchy and satisfying. Like when you're playing it, you're just like, you just see your tableau building up. You see your options increasing. Your probably the coolest part of the game, I don't know if it's in that in this picture here it's showing. You have, when you roll the dice, they basically assign different actions, and those are in those columns below the dice numbers on the top of that player board. And you put upgrade tiles on those, and that changes kind of what your dice faces do. So it's like virtually changing dice faces, which is really clever, and it works really well in the game. So you're just like, you're doing all sorts of cool stuff. You're getting better and better as the game goes on. You're like assigning villagers to different locations to make things work better, make them, give you free stuff. And then ultimately you're moving up this track in the middle of the board, journaling all of the stuff you've done. And that's kind of the timer of the game. And if the only complaint that we've had so far we've seen is that if one person starts running away on that track in the middle, you can just get left in the dust and lose horribly.
Oh,
but
wow.
Otherwise, it's really fun. You got to just plan ahead on that middle track. But there's a lot to this game, and it's really satisfying, I would say, to play.
I've heard
definitely
good
worth
things
checking.
about it. I know that Mike really likes it. I've literally never played a Garfield game because Mike
really?
won't let me play any of them, but which is not true at all. But But
I
yeah,
would start with Raiders of the North Sea and just see if you like that.
they've said that
Or
I
Raiders
would
of
like
Scythia?
Raiders or what is the other one? What's the one where you capture other people's workers?
Architects of the West Kingdom.
Architects. Yeah, everybody's
That's
like,
probably
you like
that one's a
Architects.
good one too.
So,
Yeah.
but I really need to get around to playing some of them just because they're so highly regarded, So,
They're not that complicated to play, and they work. They've got good iconography. They're not like super thematic, but the theme kind of works with them.
Mhm.
They're definitely worth trying. I mean, I'm not going to say everyone's going to like them, but they're definitely worth a try. They're all pretty solid for the most part.
It's awesome. Matt's game.
Oh goodness,
The best game.
I actually did manage to corral some cats together to play Dune Imperium.
Yes.
So that I would have something to talk about for this episode. We played Dune Imperium and Scout. It was,
That's awesome.
It was a wild day. But yeah, man, Dune Imperium, it's a great game. It's got some deck building, it's got a little worker placement, it's got a little skirmish action in the center of the board where you brutally massacre everybody and all your friends' stuff. And I mean, it might be one of my favorite games because it combines so many different things that I like. It's a very tight game, it's very focused, but it's also big and crunchy. It's just so good. It's so good. And I don't even know why I like it so much. I cannot describe why I like it so much, but it's just, there's so much to do in this game, and it feels so simple and so elegant.
It's always tense,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, it's like we were playing, and I was like, man, I really think Ryan's in the lead. Okay. What should I do? And then a turn later, Ryan's 3 points behind everybody else, and I'm like, yeah, forget Ryan. He's fine. Whatever. And I'm focusing on my stuff, and then the game ends, and then Ryan wins by 2 points. And I was like, great, cool, all right, super. But it's like the whole time it was like one person would move up a point, everybody else would move up a point, and then somebody else would, and then we're all just, and it's back and forth, neck and neck, and every little decision you have to make, it sort of weighs on you because you're like, oh, I really wanted to go there. Thank you. That really,
it hurts, especially when it's like, you're like, turn after turn, you're building up your stuff. It's like, I really want to go to that spot. I have all the stuff I need to do it. And then somebody takes it and you're like, I have to wait another round before I can go there. It's devastating sometimes,
Or it's always like that last round. You're like, it's going to be the last round. You're like, okay, cool. It's the 10th combat. I'm going to go to the space where I can recruit a Mentat, which gives me an extra worker so that I can then do this, and that can delay my turn so that I can maybe work out some actions here or there, and it just does not come together because somebody else gets it because they haven't unlocked their third
How many
worker.
points did Rob get?
Well,
he's not calling you out in chat at all. So.
Man, I was going to invite Rob. However, it was very sort of last minute. It was very last minute. Look, it was very last minute. Also on a Sunday.
It's so, just like the good old days, Rob. Just like the good old days.
What time on Sunday? Was it like in the
Ryan
morning
got
when
there
Matt
at 10
was
a.m.
playing games?
Ryan got there at 10 a.m. and left by 5. So I'm just look.
I heard 0 points.
Time.
0 points for Rob. So.
I was genuinely going to invite you. I'm only going to give him a 2-day lead time, and I do not know if that is enough for that.
But yeah, this game is awesome, and it's just been solid. I mean, it's been in my top 10 for a couple years, and like the expansions just make the game better. Did you play with the expansions, Matt?
No, I didn't. So I bought my copy.
Miss out on that.
I played it. I played with the X expansion with Kent and Rob at Dice Tower last year, and then after playing it, bought it, and then it was at home when I got home, and so I hadn't bought the expansion yet because I was like, oh, I'll buy it when I get ready to play it, and then I just ended up playing it without the expansion, which was actually really interesting because I remember when we were playing at Dice Tower, we were like, so what does the expansion sort of add? And so we were talking about it, and one of the things that happened in this game was both me and Ryan ended up with a surplus of cash unlike anything I had
Right.
ever seen.
Yeah.
And you just had nothing to spend it on. And I was like, this is where the expansion comes in. It gives you other things to blow your money on. Because I was just fat and could not do anything with it.
Yeah.
So sad. But hey, I mean, that is what it is. You die a bloody death out in the deserts of Arrakis.
I feel like the thing that's been so successful for a game too, like Dune Imperium and the 3 games come to mind. They're slightly different, but they're the same in that like there's that like kind of hand management AOE or hand management worker placement or hand management board traversal, which is like Clank, Dune Imperium, and then Lost Ruins of Arnak. And I love all 3 of those games so deeply, and there's just something about that combination where like once I don't know, I guess Clank finally. I kind of credit Clank for doing that, where it was like, man, why were these 2 separate games for so long?
Right.
Because now you're seeing more and more games kind of do that, where your hand management or your drafting, your deck building turns into you also running this other game that could have just been a worker placement game or could have just been an area control game. And it just adds a real, like you said, it adds a crunch to it, but it's not hard. It's not difficult. It just, those 2 things in tandem create such cool swings. I don't know.
Right.
Oh,
And
yeah.
depending what you call out of your deck or what you add to your deck is going to open up or take away spaces from you. It's like, oh man, I really want to get up the Benny Gesserit track. I'm going to get a bunch of Benny Gesserit cards, that sort of thing.
Yeah, you're like, now I got to send this deck out quick so I can actually use them. And
Yeah. There's
That
so
was
many
a-
great decisions.
That was the mistake I made in this game. Is I was like, oh, I should thin my deck out. So I got all the cards to thin my deck out, and then my deck was like 7 cards, and I was like, oh, I don't have anything to.
Well, I mean,
anything to attack
if
with.
your
I just
deck
have
is that
one
small, you
card.
should be getting a Spice Must Flow every single time.
See, unfortunately,
You had a council seat, right,
I-
Matt?
I-
You had a council
I
seat,
thought-
right?
I bought poorly. I did,
Okay.
but I bought poorly. I didn't. I never had 9. I was like always like, I'll stretch, I'll reach for it. Never got there.
Every time I play that game, I get at least 2 Spice Must Flows. So I love going that way.
Absolutely, man. Ride the worm.
Ride the worm. Rob, what's your game? Or games?
My game, it's actually an older one. It's been in shrink for a long time, but I finally broke it out. My youngest daughter, she saw it, Zombie Kidz, and she was like, man, Dad, I really want to try this game. And so we played the super base level of this game. Zombie Kidz is sort of area control / co-op game where you start in the center of a school in the red room, and there's red, yellow, green, purple, blue rooms, and then there's zombies outside coming in through the gates. And the point of the game, on the very base level of the game, is to close all 4 of the outside doors before all of the zombie pieces are on the board. And the game starts off with only 8 zombie pieces. And so you go through those zombie pieces pretty quickly. Now, as you kill a zombie, it goes back into the cycle. So you're constantly trying to kill zombies as well as move together. And one of the things that's really cute is when to close one of the doors, both players have to be in the outside space, and they have to give each other a high five.
Oh,
And
that's
so
awesome.
My daughter, yeah, and so she was all excited. She was like, yeah, giving the high fives, and she was really pumped and excited to play it. And later that night, we were with my wife, and we were talking about something, and she was like, Mom, I just got to tell you something. Dad and I played a new zombie game, and I'm a little young, but I'm mature, and I know how to play it, and I'll teach you how to play.
So cute.
So, because it's like for 7+. And so, but she did great. What's really cool also about Zombie Kidz is it comes with it's not a legacy style thing, but it sort of is a legacy style thing where you get these little envelopes and you have the potential to add more. Now, here soon, as a family, we're going to start playing with all 4 of us. And we'll do the legacy. So it also comes with these stickers that you can add to the back of the rule book, where you can say, how many zombies you've gotten, or they're going to apply different things. We haven't gone that far yet. We just played the base mode.
Nice.
And so as the base mode, it was a lot of fun. We were successful. I think if you have a young person, like a 5 or 6 year old, I don't think they have to be 7 to play the game. But I would recommend you only playing the base game. What I also really liked about Zombie Kidz is it was quick. Another thing with my daughter, it's like, all right, we played this, and let's go play something else. So it wasn't like a big, long, drawn-out game. it was long enough to keep her attention. Super cute art. She wanted the girl that had the lightsaber because we're all into Star Wars at our house. She's like, "This is my character. I don't care. This is my character." And so she was making like the zoo zoo noises as she's chopping up zombies and giving me high fives. So we had a lot of fun playing Zombie Kidz. Then also this past Friday, we started our brand new D&D campaign. Very excited for that. I'm using 5th edition rules, but everything is homebrew. And so, yeah, I love it. And what I love about D&D is my wife has gotten into D&D. We did a campaign at the end of 2021 with some friends, and she kept, like, when I get excited about stuff, especially like pillow talk, I won't shut up about it. And so she was like, you know what, fine, let me just try this. So I wrote a scenario where they could come in as like one-shot mercenaries with her and a friend of mine who had also just wanted to try it. And both of them absolutely loved D&D. They didn't. I do the voices, and I set up the board. I'm a big fan of board presence and
I love the look of your setup, like the aesthetic of it's really awesome.
Yes, yeah. I use all types of games, as well as one company, Battle Systems. What I like about Battle Systems is if you can't afford a full village, like in a Dwarven Forge wallet, because I don't have that wallet right now in my life, Battle Systems, like you can get like a whole village, and now it's like a really thick cardboard for $100, but they already come painted and they already come colored, and it's very easy to put together. So like a lot of what you see on the table with those buildings and whatnot, like you can take off the tops, and it comes with beds and bookshelves and tables and chairs and all this like really cool like scatter stuff. And so it's a great deal for your money. Battle Systems is, and then you can take off the roofs of the buildings and you can look into the buildings, and the buildings they're already all detailed on the inside as well. And so they like doing that because I'll put stuff like old fans of the show when we did our D&D. I can't believe Roy did this to me, but he hid that special note inside of my misplaced meeples. Well, I'll hide notes and things like that throughout the table because they come in like little barrels and things like that. I'll put stuff in there. I want to see if anybody's paying attention because that will not happen again. Now I look through everything, but I love that, and so it's really fun. So now we're starting this brand new campaign. We just kicked off the campaign last week. And my wife, she's there from the get-go, as well as some other friends of ours. So that's kind of cool because like she's never nerded with me really. Like we played party games before, but that was about it. And so now she's starting to get into that. And so it's been a lot of fun playing D&D with her and with our friends. And our friends are crazy. Like zero patience. Like our first campaign, our last campaign, there was this super helpless old man NPC, and he put his hand on a friend, and another friend just fireballed him and blew him up.
Oh, goodness.
And so that's the kind of people that we play with, which I absolutely love. But as a DM or GM or whatever we call ourselves now, I was not prepared for that. And so having to come up with stuff on the fly and go with all these kind of things of somebody like just
breaking your ideas, basically.
Left, then they go right.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of fun. So D&D and Zombie Kidz. In fact, my kids, they watch us while we play, and we're going to be starting a family D&D gaming session, or we're going to create our own stuff because they just want to try it out, and so that'll be a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
And so yeah, I recommend it.
Our son really likes Zombie Kidz too. The envelopes are cool because they add special player powers for each of the players, the characters. So those are worth opening up when you get to them.
Does it also add more zombies? Because some of the envelopes are pretty thick where it looks like you could punch them out. Because 8 zombies is, if you don't have somebody killing the zombies, you lose Zombie Kidz once all the zombies are on the board. So you have to have somebody dedicated to killing zombies.
Yeah, they add zombies, and I think they add the zombies also get special powers too.
Ooh, Nice.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say spoilers for legacy games here.
Come on
It's
now.
it's been out for a while.
It's been out for a
I'm
long
not saying
time.
specifics. It's
There is
just
a Zombie Teens if you want to play that one too, and then a new one in the same universe, Zombie Flashback, just came out. It's in the same line.
What about
kinda-
zombie elderly for the nursing home folks?
Not
That'd
quite
be
yet.
incredible.
Speaking of which, have you guys watched The Last of Us?
Yes.
Holy crap.
I
We only
have-
watched the first episode,
Yeah.
and Ruthie's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch this.
Yeah, I was wrecked by the
Gory?
first episode. By the first
It's gonna
episode.
wreck you in a different way every time so
No.
far. Every time.
I was like, I can't deal with my anxiety in this show. Like,
I don't know.
I don't
It's a
think I'm
beautiful
up for
show.
it.
It's a beautiful show. It's absolutely an incredible production. I'm super impressed with it.
They're going to have to watch more of it. You got to catch up.
Yeah. I'm afraid to derail the podcast into a Last of Us the show podcast because I can talk about it.
Go down that hole with you because
I know you will. I'm looking at Rob going, this could get bad.
I didn't play the game. Neither did my wife, but we're watching the show and we're like,
We haven't played
oh
the
my-
game
Yeah, we haven't played
either,
the
so.
I watched Kent play like the first
I've played
part
the-
of the game,
Yeah.
and I was like, "This is like my worst nightmare. I cannot watch this. Like, I can't handle this. Like,
It's
I
intense.
played the
Like,
first
I
part.
couldn't- I don't think I
few
could watch the
times.
show.
Haven't made it through that beginning yet.
The show creators, I think, got the memo, and it hits all the right beats in my opinion. I didn't know there was a zombie kids flashback though.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I think it's a different style game, but I think it's in the same kind of.
It's got that art style.
Yeah.
I just looked it up. I wasn't even aware of that.
I heard that it
I
was
just
good
like
too,
playing
though.
games
So.
with my kids, and I know you guys shame me for playing Monopoly, but we play a lot of Monopoly at our house too. I was trying to get like pictures. Like 2 days ago, we played the Mandalorian Monopoly, so it wasn't just Monopoly; it was Mandalorian. But as my youngest, she calls it Baby Yoda Monopoly. So we played
Little Baby Yoda Monopoly.
All right, yeah.
So we'll play a lot of different games and stuff like that. But it was fun. I think I got Zombie Kids like 3 or 4 plus years ago. It was a while ago. It was fun to kind of tear off the plastic.
That's awesome.
And then just put a game out there, and she was all into it, and she wants to play more. And you guys know how it is, especially when you have little ones, when they get excited about a game. And family friendly, easy to learn. Guys, it was so easy to learn. I taught the rules properly.
Oh my
That's
god!
how easy.
Good job, Rob.
We're
And Matt, you're not.
flash forward 4 months. We were playing this at a con somewhere, and Ken's like, "Rob, that's not the rules."
Probably. That'll probably happen. But in the Newman house, that's how we play.
We've been doing it. It's been fine.
our son likes to make up his own rules, and now it's gotten to the point where he'll be like, "Daddy, play this game with me," and Kent's like, "Are we gonna play by the real rules or your rules?" And he's like, "Okay,
Kent has
never
to like
mind."
pull out the belt. Like, let's play by the rules, son.
Kent won't play games unless it's by the real rules.
Look, Kent's just getting them ready for the real world. They have to be filled out correctly. You don't want to get audited. It's very important.
Yes.
Just
My 13-year-old will walk away from a game on the last turn if she feels that she's about to lose. Right now, we're at that point.
Oh wow.
We're like, my son. I have a 15 and a 13-year-old for reference for those listening, and my son is the 15-year-old, and he's a very he has a very kind of observational mind, and from the time he was like 8, he'd been playing games that were just weighted well above his class. He's just very good at sitting down, paying attention to it, doing it. My daughter, more of a high energy kid, like took her a long time to like want to sit and play a game that wasn't like a dexterity game
Happy
or something.
Salmon.
Like yeah, Happy Salmon, Rhino Hero Super Battle, and this is kind of the year for her. She's in 8th grade now, and then she started to play some stuff with me, and we started playing Splendor Duel, which is fantastic. It's a great version of Splendor. And now she's at a point where she senses me about to win it. She'll just get up and leave and not come back. She'll just walk out of the room. The competitiveness is so real. Where she's like, I'm not like a little kid. I'm like, I'll just beat her. She's 13.
Real quick though, does she leave, or is it time for her to get her backpack because she has to go to school?
No, we don't.
All of a sudden, she just got up and she left to go to the bus to go to school.
They barely get to school in the morning. That's why
Because
I
Dad's
get
too
up
busy
early. I
playing
want to make
games,
sure everything's
obviously.
done.
Awesome. Well, my game is Summoner Wars 2nd Edition. I mean, we've talked about Summoner Wars a ton on the show way back in the past, but 2nd Edition is a blast to play. They changed up and cleaned up a few things, but I've been having a blast playing Summoner Wars. I played the new Obsidian Dwarves and Sand Goblins. Me and Tom took turns switching back and forth in between both the factions. Actually shot a review for this morning, which is kind of fun. But yeah, I'm really excited about Summoner Wars in 2nd Edition, and I just like how they've kind of like streamlined the game a little bit, and just I've always had a blast playing Summoner Wars and kind of like building out your units and building up the guys and like trying to figure out how to best your way in there to take out your opponent's summoner. A few things they've done with 2nd Edition that made it really cool is they've made it like where you really need to get your summoner into the combat a little bit, so they're not just hiding the entire game. And they made it so that like common units are a little bit better in this version, so that way it's like actually playing out your common units and not just saving up for champions is really good. And this just whole like boost token system that they have with the game is very interesting and adds a lot of unique play. I've had a blast with this, and the factions are so different, just like Summoner Wars has always been. I'm talking about going up to North Carolina here at the end of the week, and I'm like, Rob, we should play Summoner Wars 2nd Edition, because I don't think Rob's played it yet.
I was going to text you, Matt.
Wait, you told me not to mention
say,
it to Matt.
You didn't make a game night. I didn't make D&D. I'm just
No, but
there's a
we're actually meeting. We're meeting for lunch. I think I'm really excited. I think Summoner Wars is the best miniature, non-miniature game out there. It really is fantastic. And I love the 1st edition. In fact, I have all of the stuff for the 1st edition, and I have 2 copies signed by the crew back before they did Seafall.
You had to preference it with that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I have like the Ultra special edition where it even came with like some of the fan art and stuff like that. I think Summoner Wars is great. It's just one of those games where it's easy to play and it adds so much variety because of all the different factions and whatnot. And the battle map is not so overwhelming. You know, that's some of the things that's kind of overwhelming, I think, for miniature games, is when you're playing that game, it can be too much. Where in Summoner Wars, you have your rectangles, you're going where you're going. You have it's streamlined very well, and it's also like their staple. Isn't that how Colby like basically made
Started
it
the
in
company,
the board game? So very excited for this. I'm also excited, and I haven't gotten it because I haven't seen the Dirty South yet. Ashes Reborn. So I was excited when they announced Summoner Wars 2, and they've also redone Ashes. I'm excited to see Plaid Hat coming back to their roots and going back to that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I'm definitely in to play over lunch on Friday, and then I'll probably end up getting a copy as well as Ashes. But yeah, it's such a great game.
I did teach Ruthie how to play this on the cruise. When I played these 2 factions, I beat Tom quickly, but then when I played Ruthie on the cruise, she wrecked me. So you've kind of beat Tom by proxy, right?
Right.
Yeah. Well, I played games with Tom in the past. That's like, yeah, I'm like, now,
no comment. No comment.
If I beat Ruthie, I'll wear a badge saying I beat Ruthie, but I won't wear a badge saying I beat Tom.
The shade.
But I'll also like privately wear that badge because I'm not going to wear a badge out in public saying that I beat a woman. But you know, like I'll give you a look. Like, you know what I did. Sagrada, I did. Like boom. I can roll the R's a little bit. Anyway.
One of the things I love about Summoner Wars is just how different the factions are. Like the Obsidian Dwarves that I played are like, they damage themselves to do like extra stuff, but they do a ton of damage to other people. So it's like you could end up wrecking yourself. But then the Sand Goblins that I played have all these different like upgrades that you get to put on the different characters and kind of give them turrets or give them boosters to go faster. I played Fungal Dwarves when I was playing with you, and I did a terrible job of utilizing the stuff, but they were all very much like the Last of Us dwarves who have fungus and they have to kind of like explode to make fungus monsters, you know.
Yep.
And
is it all brand new factions, not just like, or is it a
They have a couple. They have a couple factions that have like the same names, but they even the factions with the same names play very differently than they used to. Everything feels very different than the old game. Honestly, I mean, I don't think like it's so different that like you can have the old game and play with all that stuff and have fun with it, but then play the new game and still have fun with it in different ways, just because nothing is repeated at all, like even a little bit. You know, it's so different. But
nice. And that's also one of the issues too when you get a remake of a game. It's like, well, crap,
it's definitely not a reskin.
This old copy anymore. But if it is different enough where they're still basically separate games, it makes you not want to replace that older game.
Yeah, I thought when they made the new edition, I was like, okay, they're going to streamline some rules and do this and that. And they did do that stuff, but then they didn't like remake the factions the same way. They made them play very different than they ever had before. And a lot of the factions are brand new. I haven't delved into deck building or anything like that. I just play with the decks the way they come, and I've had a lot of fun with it. So
awesome.
But yeah, that's
the way to play Summoner Wars, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at least that's the way I enjoy it. So speaking of all these games, our topic for the week, which we're going to touch on briefly here for a little bit because we've been talking for quite a while, but is finding the time to actually play games. Like we have all these games, we have collections of games, we get new games in, we back Kickstarters. When do you find the time, or how do you find the time to actually play those games?
I'll let Rob answer for me.
Get invited to game night. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, that helps.
Depends, for me, it depends on the game. We host a lot of small group stuff, and typically the people that we'll have over are non-gamers, and so it's typically party games. Like, in fact, I just had a couple more party games come in that we're excited to try out. Party games are cute, but it's like, okay, like ha 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 ha. That's cute.
She's gonna jump through the screen at you. She loves the party games.
I love party.
Yeah,
I love party games.
I mean, I like it, but I've been playing like the same same party games for a while. That's why we ordered new ones. My problem is distance, right? Like, how about this? It's not my problem. My problem is I'm a jerk, and I don't want to play certain games with everybody. Like, I don't mind getting my butt kicked by Kent and Courtney because I love Kent and Courtney. And I don't mind losing and playing with Matt because I love Matt, right? And then Roy lived here. Like, I didn't mind any of that kind of stuff, too. So I don't mind playing those big meteor games, especially with Kent, because I'm not going to read the rules. Like, if your rule book comes with 10 plus more pages and you have multiple books, I'm not playing that game until I get to play with Kent. Because, like, it's just not going to happen. I don't care. I do enough reading of other books in my life, and I read contracts and stuff. Like, I'm not going to do it. So that's my issue is, like, Trudvang. I really want to play Trudvang.
Yeah.
I'm probably not ever going to play Trudvang. The Darkness game. Sorry.
Massive Darkness?
Yeah, Massive Darkness 2. That's probably my new D&D miniature set. I hope to play it, but I use the minis for some. So if it comes to like a medium to heavy game, it's going to depend on the people that are available for me. And that's what really stinks because we are getting older. We have kids. We have responsibilities. I mean, flipping Roy moved away. He's all the way in South Beach, and Adam is in
I wish we were in South Beach.
I know, right?
And so it's tough. It's tough to get everybody together. And also, if I'm going to play a game like that, I want to play it with friends. I don't want to go to like a meetup and just play with somebody who's brand new. Like, I don't know you because I don't try to be. I'm just naturally.
But that's how we met.
Right? I'm loud. I'm fun. I like to be confrontational. I like to press buttons just because, one, it's a defense mechanism for myself, but it's also a way of, I want to see what layers of you I can peel back, right? And so I'm going to be sarcastic with you to see if you laugh back. I won't go totally cutthroat, but a lot of introverts, especially when you go to those brand new meetup groups, they don't like that. And so that's why, like, Roy and I think why we kind of kicked off, because he was loud and crazy. I was loud and crazy.
Because I'm like, Rob is yelling at me and he's angry. I love it. Come to game night.
And Kent and Courtney, they were just like nice enough to like not leave, and they just kept playing.
They didn't leave.
it just worked out.
Congratulations.
Kent heard you on the podcast first, at least. You know, he
I
knew what he was
said
in
it was
for.
something, but they're like, no, I don't want to play anymore. I'm good, and that's fine. I get it, you know. But I also don't want to play with you either, because I want to play with people where I'm going to have an experience, and so that's where I struggle with. So we'll do things like Cabin Con, or Dice Tower East or something like that, where we'll set up a specific time. That's what I do to try to play those meatier games. That or D&D. D&D and party games I can get to the table. Everything else, no.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's very much like trying to find the time to have like a game night.
Right.
Because I mean, we all have kids, right? Matt has a dog, kind of like a kid. But yeah, you have to figure out how to work that stuff into your schedule and figure out like, okay, when are the kids going to be in bed or be here or there and all that stuff. And then just finding a time to have a game night and inviting people over, you know, that's one of the biggest things is like, if you build it, they will come sort of thing. You know, it's like, okay, schedule a game night, find the time. And like, you also have to kind of know your audience. Like you were saying, is like, if they're new gamers, they're probably going to lean to something more light, you know? But if you're able to get like those hardcore gamers, like, okay, we're going to set up this game. And sometimes having the game set up ahead of time helps out, you know? I remember back when we used to play Manage the Madness first edition, and it was like, okay, I'm going to have the game perfectly set up before everybody comes over, you know? Or, oh, we're going to play Twilight Imperium. That's a crazy, gigantic game that's really hard to find the time to play. But like I had that thing set up perfectly before everybody came over. And a lot of times setting stuff up and having things ready helps you be able to get the time. Because if you invite everybody over and you're humming and hawing about what you're going to play, it's just going to have less time for you to actually get the game to the table, you know?
Can I tell you a little anecdote about that? So I was trying to teach Scout, right? Scout, small box, roughly the size of a wallet. Takes 20 minutes to play. We played the whole game in an hour because it took me that long to be able to communicate how the game flowed.
Oh, wow.
Because I am terrible at teaching games. And so that was an issue that I had this week is I was like, oh, I am bad at teaching games in a timely fashion because it takes me just as long to teach the game as it would to play the game. And I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
Was it a thing of not familiarity with the rules on your part, or was it just the explanation of it, or just having them be able to understand it?
It's part and parcel of a couple of different things. And sometimes you'll explain a rule and somebody's not quite paying attention, so they didn't catch that one part that they called the second half of the explanation. So later you have to go back and then another thing was sometimes I will be very confident in myself that I know how to teach something, and then somebody will ask me a question and I go, oh,
yeah,
I don't know. And then I'll try to look it up, and then other people are asking questions while I'm trying to read, and I'm like, this is a lot. And then my anxiety kicks in, and it's just from there.
People don't trust me.
Hey,
it's just straight up. I'll try to explain the game. Like my buddy Lee is a great example. I'll explain the game, and he'll just look at me and he says, nope. I don't know. Just give me the rule book. And I'll say almost word for word what it was in certain games that I've played before, right? Like if I've learned how to play the game before, I can teach the game. But I'm always the guy when we play social deduction, I'm typically dead in the first couple of rounds just because I'm loud, I'm big, and everyone's like, oh, it's got to be Rob, right? It's the same way if I'm trying to teach rules. Nope, there's something he's doing to try to deceive me, so I'm going to be off about something.
Wow.
So that's why if you're listening to the show, find yourself a Kent Parker. Everybody needs a Kent or Roy and somebody to teach you how to play a game, and you'll be good. Just make sure, though, that they know the rules. They're not making up the rules as they go along. But,
I make up rules.
Yeah.
We played with people that have made up rules, and then when you called them out on stuff, they're like, oh, you can't do that. I would have changed my whole game. What do you mean you would have changed the whole game? You taught the game. Anyway, but I have Kent for those people, so that helps. But yeah, I try not to teach because people don't trust me.
Teaching rules is hard. It takes a lot of practice, I'd say, and just a lot of trial and error.
There's also ways to teach games, right? Like a format, you kind of want to teach them in a certain order, and like different people are going to respond in different ways to teaching games. Some people want all the nitty gritty details, and other people really want you to kind of like gloss over like how stuff works, and then be like, oh, let's just get into it. Oh, let's just get into it.
Sure.
And it's kind of like you have
just
to
play the game.
Find that balance. of like what works for people and how little you can get away with teaching, but also make it so that the person that wants to know everything isn't mad about you missing something, you know?
Yeah, when Roy explains a game, I'm like, He's like, do you get it? I'm like, nope, let's just play the game. Like, and he's like the best teacher ever, you know? But I'm like, we just have to give me a round or two and I'll catch on.
My wife's the same way.
Yeah.
Yep.
The rubber's got to hit the road for the car design.
But I'm also very much like, feel free to just ask questions as
Right.
much as possible. Like, I'll give you a brief overview of the game, and then while we're at it, like, just ask me, like, this is how this works. This is how this works. I can just continue to explain. Whenever you get hung up on something, it's like, okay, this is how that works. This is how that works, you know? And I mean, I'm so used to demoing games and teaching games over and over again. Like, when you demo a game, you really get into the flow of like, this is how this game should be taught, you know? I'm sure, I mean, Rob, you've demoed games at like conventions before. I mean, once you've taught it enough times, you're like, I've got this game down, you know, like Chambers of Midgard and things like that. So
Those, I guess it's just my friends, because when I typically play a game, like my friends know, like I love to joke around, so they won't listen to my rules and stuff. But yeah, when I've demoed at cons and stuff like that for other people, I can teach a game and have fun and get all into that kind of stuff. But yeah, my wife, Ruthie, and I'm also the same way too a lot, where I'd rather fail learning and then, okay, by round 2 or 3, okay, I'm good.
Yep.
Because I typically have my saying that I'll say, I'll never win the first game, but you won't beat me the second game. Because the first game I'm learning.
Right.
The second game, you know, then I figure it out. So,
once a game is done, I'll go back to Roy and be like, I could have done this differently. I could have done this. And I'm like, I want to play it again.
So what do you guys do to try to schedule game time if it's not?
Adam's like right after breakfast. There's this little window.
Yep. I have my gluten-free toast and my no sugar added jam, and I play the game by myself and I cry. It's easier and harder for me. Like I moved in 2018 from living in like a very, very dense metropolitan area around a lot of the people I grew up and went to college with and stuff. And I had a group of friends that played pretty regularly and lived around the block from me there. And I went to a meetup group that was massive. It was hundreds of people were involved in this group. To living somewhere that's a little bit more rural, and the accessibility to kind of like the gaming public, it doesn't exist where I'm at now. So I have definitely played less in the last couple of years than I used to. Pandemic hit. I haven't seen all of y'all in person in a little while now either. I'm going to change that soon, but my kids also have gotten older though. So like I had mentioned earlier, my daughter plays much more now than she had before. So at my house, it's more piecemealing it. It tends to be who wants to play what game, and then I'm usually the facilitator of that game. What the shift that hasn't happened in my home is that even though like my daughter might like to play this, Splendor Duel a lot, or she might like Railroad Inc. a lot, like she likes those two games. She won't like teach them to somebody else. When her friends are over, she'll be like, "Dad, will you show us how to play this?" I'm like, "Well, you played it 10 times this month. You should try to teach it to your friends." But now like her and her friends are playing and things like that. And my son tends to be the one who'll sit down and play something with me that takes a little bit longer, but I think it's a matter of finding those medium and bigger games that play well for two, because my wife and my daughter they're not good for a 2 or 3 hour game. Like it isn't really happening. So that tends to be how I do it. I do have a decent Dungeons and Dragons group, and that group I have converted into, hey, do you guys want to play like some King of Tokyo before we do D&D, or if we're waiting on somebody? And I'm starting to get some conversion from folks out of that. So I think it's just for me in this hobby, and I imagine this is probably the case for a lot of folks here. I don't want to speak for everybody too, but I think one of the things that draws you to it is there's that social interaction, that story that you have, right, which is kind of the point of the podcast. But there's also just there's kind of a relaxation in the familiarity and the rhythm that you get out of playing certain games. And for me, I feel like if I'm having a stressed out day or a stressed out week, if someone will like sit down with me and just pull the damn sticks and go cuckoo and talk for 30 minutes, like I just feel good. I feel like it's very therapeutic. So for me, I do make sure that I get it in a couple days out of the week. And if no one can play because there's cheerleading and basketball and stuff like that, then that's when I'll set up the giant game and I'll read through the rule book and not play it, which just maybe seems like a crazy person, but I do it.
I've done the same thing before. Like I remember back when I first got Twilight Imperium 3, I like set up everything for the game and like took pictures of it and stuff like that. And I actually had some friends online make fun of me of like, did you set that up and not play it? And I'm like, I like the way the game looks on the table. I like learning it. Like that's how I learn how to teach a game better, is by like, okay, these go here, this goes like this, you know, and kind of set everything up and kind of get an idea of how everything works. Even if I don't play the game, I'll be able to teach it better or set it up better in the future, you know?
Yeah. I think there's catharsis in the process that comes with having video games, having board games, having them on your shelf, reshelving them, setting them up, learning the rules. I think there's catharsis in that sometimes is quieter than playing the game. So
it's like the hobby part of the game, you know. It's not necessarily the actual playing of it, but like enjoying the other aspects of board gaming as well, you know.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Well, I think to your point, Adam, I just need people. I love people. I love my friends. I mean, sometimes when life is crazy, the best thing you could do with me is sit down and play a game, even if it is another party game or whatever, like, or a crazy Euro game or something like that. Like,
it's like begrudgingly.
It might be viticulture, and I might not like it.
I just love
Concordia
playing with my friends and seeing my friends and just hanging out. Because like Matt and I, especially like when we did our board games like a lot at Roy's house and stuff, I think Matt and I liked hanging out almost as much as we did the board games. Just like joking around with each other.
That's part of the reason we started the podcast, is because we just hung out and talked forever after we played, you know. So
yeah, a couple of nights, 2:30 in the morning, just trying to keep it down so that Roy's neighbors don't call the police on the two large gentlemen.
There were nights outside where I was like, all right, bye guys, and then they were outside the house for like a while. I'm just like
yeah.
Look, man, sometimes you play a game where some stuff happens and you just gotta talk about it. You know?
Are you talking about Rex again? Still talking about Rex?
Look,
always Rex.
Here's the thing. It's always Rex. And I don't think me and Rob particularly like Rex.
I love it.
I don't think if we ever play a game of Rex again, it will top that game. Because I think that was the pinnacle of Rex, and it was great.
It was perfect. It was. And I don't know if we play the new Twilight Imperium edition. There's a new form
They went
of
back
Rex
to Dune.
Or Dune, yeah. But that Rex was so amazing. From the interaction that Matt and I had, because he thought he had my general, and I was like, what's his name? And just that whole thing. And then what you did to AJ. You betrayed AJ. And the way everything happened, it was just so...
I would never betray anyone in a game. I don't know what you're talking about.
Betrayed AJ so hard.
I don't betray them. I stabbed them in the front. So that they can see.
But it was one of those things where we played the game for 2.5 hours, and then we sat in the driveway for 2+ hours talking about it. Hector, myself, AJ, Matt, and Roy, you're out there for a little bit, like... But I love that, and that's one of the things that I miss now that you are gone, because you are so passionate about board games, Roy.
Yeah.
Like it was like a mission to like, man, I want to have my friends over and I want to play games, right? And not that we're not passionate, but I probably don't have the same passion that you do. I mean, heck, you even work in the flipping industry, and I love my wife, and she's getting into more and more games, but she doesn't have the same passion like a Kent and Courtney have, where like they're okay to play a lot of 2-player games together. And they also like get along and still like each other, right? And so, so that helps. And so a lot of times I find myself a little bit like Adam, where it's like, okay, the groups here aren't as big as they used to be, and so that's kind of dwindled down. And then the people that are here, maybe they're not into the same games that I'm into, and man, I can only do trains for so much.
Exactly. I feel you.
So things have changed, but they're starting to pick back up again. Are you guys noticing that? Are you guys noticing that people are starting to come out of their shells a little bit more now that COVID and other things have, not that it's gone away, but it's not as scary?
Yeah. I mean, for sure. I've seen conventions start picking up like crazy. I think the conventions help people meet each other and then help those groups get started back up, you know? I mean, there are so many like of those like public meetup groups that like we kind of like found each other at, or like we met new people at conventions and stuff like that, like going to Mace and things like that, you know, meeting Kent and them there and stuff, you know, that sort of stuff helps kind of like build the community up. And even if you don't see it, it's like maybe you don't go to the convention at all, but you end up finding people that end up playing at those things, you know, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I actually have a question. So my girlfriend has recently started a new job at Trader Joe's, and the folks that work at Trader Joe's are all sorts, but there's a ton of nerds there, and they even have like a group that plays D&D that's all people that work at the store.
Oh wow!
Which I think is super cool. And she likes to brag about me and all this behind me. And so there are some people who are starting to get interested, but I feel weird about inviting people that I've never met to my house and being like, "Hi, this is me. It's very much who I am."
Yeah.
And now it's time for the violence to begin, where we roll dice and punch each other, you know, or whatever game we're playing.
Start with cooperative games, you know, that makes it easier. So.
Okay.
But
food, you gotta feed them, and then that's the type of group where you can do like maybe a Murder in Hong Kong, like a little deeper social reduction. Get to know the people a little bit, and then you can jump into like a medium to heavy board game. Let them meet you first, right? Because they know her and they like her.
Right.
But
especially if you can find common ground. A lot of times it's like, oh, if they're into D&D, if they're into stuff, they might already know how to play some of the games. You know, it's like, oh, well, oh, you guys have already played this. Oh, you haven't, but you have? Okay, we'll show you this. And maybe you find somebody there that's also good at teaching the game too, you know, which would be a bonus, you know. It's like, oh, we can teach you this game together, you know.
Just if you do this, you can never break up with her. And here's why. Her friends are going to become your friends.
Look,
and if you guys ever break up in the board game group,
they have a kid together now. Come on, they can't break up.
I was gonna say that was we got the puppy, and she was like, "Hey, man, so just FYI, we have 3 dogs now. I don't know that you could get away from me if you tried." And I was like,
"Child support on dogs is really expensive, Matt. So you need to weigh your options."
Hey, those vet bills do add up.
But if I see though, she can because it's her work and stuff. See if she just wants to set up some type of like social hangout at y'all's place, and then you just happen to be there with a plate of cheese and
plate of cheese.
Now, Matt, is a hesitation having new people at your house that you don't know? Because I know you said that originally. Is that part of it?
I mean, I think so. I think it's I come from a household who has hosted events in the past, so I sort of try to hold myself to the standard of what my parents did.
Okay.
And I go, oh, I don't do any of that stuff.
You could choose a neutral location like a game store or some place where you can play games just to take the pressure off of that. Like, you know, I don't know what's in the area, but there could be something that would be a better first couple time meetup spot.
Just pick the gluten-free aisle of Trader Joe's and just play there. In the middle of the floor.
I'll be there.
To Kent's point, I've done a couple of meetups at Panera Bread.
Yeah,
the opposite of gluten-free. All the bread, all the bagels, all the gluten.
They have some of those like side rooms. You know, if you can get in there.
We played there before.
The couch seats in there.
Yeah, me and Rob have played games at Panera Bread before, so.
Yep.
I would say this too, Matt. Like I do this because I'll invite new people to play in the Dungeons and Dragons game in particular. Like people are like, oh, I want to try that. I'm like, oh, just come play. Every time we play in that game, unless there's like a 4 or 5 core group of people, but I've done this at the university at work too, because on Thursdays we play a board game at lunch. They tend to be later games, but if people come down and they're playing for the first time, I, as the person who kind of like owns most of the games and is usually explaining how to play most of the games, I'm very explicit and upfront with people. Like, this is how I encourage people to play games and how I like people to play games, which is basically like, this isn't a competition. No one's going to win or lose any money. We're here to have a good time, and you shouldn't feel like you're being excluded because you don't understand something, because sometimes you'll misunderstand the simplest thing for the longest time. I've done it and played games the wrong way for years and then been corrected. And I think if you lay that out, it makes people feel like the gates kind of get torn down, and it will make the pressure come off of them, but the pressure is also off you because you've laid out what the assumptions might be out front, and I think that's very, very helpful. I try to do that because I want them to be comfortable, but I want myself to be comfortable in going like, this is the way I'm coming at it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm coming at it because this is how I like to play a game, or this is how I like to have the table go. But you might be different after this experience. But just know, I'm teaching it to you, and I'm teaching it to you because this is how I value the game.
And I'm still saying I love cooperative games at the beginning with people, you know, because that way it's like, okay, we're here. I mean, we're here doing things together, you know, that way you can get to know people, know their personalities before you start being like, and now I'm going to beat you in a game, because nobody wants to come over and be beaten by like a ton of points. But even if it's like simple party stuff like just one, you know, and sometimes you play by the rules or don't play by the rules. But, you know, it's fun regardless, you know. So.
It's hard to follow the rules of just.
Yeah, we'll go around.
We had...
Me and my friends are like, are we going basic? And Roy's like, what do you, that's not part of the rules. I was like, basic?
Like,
or are you
like,
going intense? Are you going to be...
Does your word start with a J? Don't put the J word. We can't say letters here.
And Roy's
Are you
like,
thinking what I'm thinking? I'm doing the simple one.
It's like playing Hanabi with Rob, and somebody's like picking a card, and Rob's like,
Oh, dude, the first time I ever played that was at Cabin Con. Kent and Courtney brought it. And I think within 5 seconds, Rob was like, "Oh!"
I love it.
It's like playing the
gotta
mind.
have fun.
Yeah,
you know?
playing the mind with
playing the
Rob.
mind.
Are you going this big or a little this big?
Yeah.
Like,
No. You don't say the words. You go.
Yeah.
no, so
Yeah.
Shaking his hands.
was it with
Yeah,
the...
it's all with the hands and how much
just
you
Just
hum.
one, yeah.
We were playing just one, and my friend was sitting across from me, and I'm like watching her write, and I'm like, don't write that word. She's like, what? You don't even know? I was like, I know what you wrote. Don't write it.
She's watching like the pin strokes of her friends to try to.
And Roy's like, you can't do that. I was like, it's not in the rule book. I don't know what to do.
Kent would have been like
That-
flipping
There's
tables.
There's
That
nothing
goes
in the
against the
rules
spirit
for
of the
this
game.
one.
Exactly. Kent's like
Yeah.
against the
Having
spirit
so
of the
much
game.
fun. Yeah, I'm the same way. However, though, the mind does say not to make any noises or do anything, but
Yeah, but if you do that, it's not.
What about hand signals?
I do it all.
It's about the
The
experience.
mind
and the
is
fun.
hard enough without a little cheating. I mean,
Yeah, the mind is tough. It's tough.
That's awesome.
Just One is so great. I'm playing that this weekend.
It's honestly, it's like an amazing game.
I need to pick that up. It's called Just One.
Yeah, it's a cooperative
it's
party
fun.
game, and it's like
We played
So
you get
simple.
At Target for like so cheap too.
Yeah, I think I Amazoned that and Medium
Yep.
from
Okay.
Cabin Con after we played them both.
Same.
I was like, these are both going to my house. They're
Yeah,
so
100%.
fun.
yeah.
Medium, I think I
We
ended
should
up doing
play
this-
Medium. Medium's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just shuffled them. I gave up on them being in the little numbered categories eventually. Like, I've played that so much now. It's just a massive stack of cards, and there's like 70 different house rules we play with that now. My daughter does full psychic readings with it.
That's awesome. But yeah, I guess that kind of wraps up our topic for today. We've been going here for a bit. I definitely want to say thank you for everybody in chat watching, and definitely make sure to tell your friends and family about the podcast. We're still trying to start this thing back up and make things happen, trying to get through all technical glitches and things like that. But hey, I think we pulled it together and ended up having a whole podcast out of it. So there you go.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and for watching the show. And let us know in the comments or reach out to us on social media. What do you do to try to get with your friends and family to play board games? And like Roy said, do it or we won't talk to you ever again. So
Yeah. Please let us know any songs from popular video games that Kent could learn and sing for us. When we do the EGN variety show, which is coming at some point in the next 12 months. Don't.
Toss a coin to your Witcher or something like that. Wait, that's not actually from the
Well,
video.
because you know what? It's adjacent.
Burn Witcher Burn. I would sing that one.
Go ahead.
No,
Go
not
for it,
right
Rob.
You can do All I Want by The Offspring.
now. Yeah.
Crazy Taxi reference.
And there's also the Reigns of Castamere that the guy, oh man, it's a super punk. I just now can't think of his name. Anyway, it's a crazy rendition. It's like a hard rock rendition of Reigns of Castamere. It's on the season 8 album.
Oh, that's awesome.
Of
Game of Thrones. Oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Now I've got to look it up. I know you're doing the outro. Boy, I do that. I got to look this up because it's gonna bother me.
All right, guys. Thanks everybody for joining
Bye.
us. I guess we'll see everybody
Bye.
next time.
Bye.
Have a good one. Peace out.
Bye.
Later.
Bye.